Hey guys, so this is class 22, and this is forever course going on. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's more mainly because of me. If I were was available and some of the Saturdays, it would have been maybe finished. But yeah, the topics are very important. It's security, so better have a good idea about security topics. As I was saying that, or I used to always say that I keep on applying to different companies. So I get to know that they are asking more security questions every time, and I'll try to put interview questions. I'm putting a lot of interview questions on my channel. So AWS, Azure, but also security questions. I'll be putting there cloud security questions, especially. Um, those questions will come no matter what kind of role you're applying, as long as it's a administrator role. Cloud security questions do come a lot. So I'll try to cover obviously as many and even those which are not exam objectives but job objectives. The job they will be very important for you, so try to cover those as well. O and K. So let's go for Azure Active, very Active Directory. And what we had done last time was PIM and identity governance. So last time we did PIM, it is, and you should remember that for the interview. Privileged identity management, and what is PIM? You should remember that too. Any administrator role. Why should an administrator role be given to that particular person for how long? And when there should be a review of whether this person needs that admin role or not. So that is very important. Then we talked about identity governance. In fact, yesterday there was a initial interview for some company, so they were asking Azure security, and then I said just what we are talking about here: privileged identity and identity governance, secure score. That is which comes in overall security topics of security the security topics of Azure. So those things are really important to remember before any interview, and try to at least have 10 to at least 10 sentences ready. Introduction and benefits of identity governance, Azure identity governance, and Azure PIM. Actually, PIM is part of identity governance. So just try to memorize those before going to an interview and put it in your resume as well. These words, because recruiters also search on behalf of their clients these words. Clients want to know from the recruiters that if the candidates know these terms and what are those. Another term that they asked yesterday, in fact, was what is hunting? So there's a thing called hunting, and hunting is obviously in Azure security. Um, Hunting is um, trying to find out loopholes in our Azure infrastructure that could let hackers in, right? And also, and our security uh, preparedness, right? Uh, Preparedness in terms of vulnerability, uh, eh, in terms of vulnerability detection and remediation. and remediation. So this is very important that and hunting is something that is available there, and it's pretty intense how the features there in the that feature. What are the settings or configurations and what it can do? Those features are there in hunting, and that is we're gonna try to discuss that too. Azure security. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to log in and make sure that we are connecting to Azure. So, okay. Where was I connecting with this thing? Windows.com. Okay, let's go there. But oh, not that. I'll just quickly connect there and think it will be this time. Yeah. And um, password was hopefully action required. Security defaults are turned on to keep your organization secure. Set up the Microsoft Authenticator app to use two-step verification. You have 7 days until this is required. Oh, my extreme laziness is doing this, but I should just do it. But I don't want to do it with Authenticator app. Use a different account. Okay, I'll just click next and quickly configure my FA and then go ahead. If it could set up with, if it could set up with text sending, that would be good. Oh, thank God. AWS made me install the Authenticator app, but it's good that here it lets me connect with just phone and text. All right, send me a code quickly. 549-785. 549-785. Okay, so done. Let's go ahead. I think AWS should do that too, and making us going through Authenticator app. So Google Authenticator I was using there. Let's carry on with what we were doing. So this is the admin center, and then we went for Azure Active Directory last time, and it opens Entra Admin Center, which you should be getting used to as well. And so here we were talking about every feature in protect and secure, conditional access, and then here first was conditional access, then identity protection as well. We talked about that before as well in AZ-104 and now in AZ-500. And then password reset related stuff that we can uh, configure. And then there is custom attributes that you can create. But this is more for um, developers who are or also infrastructure administrators who are creating key value pairs like your suppose a form is being filled or Active Directory information is being filled, and you want some more options or some more windows to be created there, some more questions to be asked there, that what is your suppose it's a hospital, so what case number or disease related or what type of medicine, you can also add all those as attributes as well. Uh, but yeah, you have to have an application to connect and then add it as well. Uh, There is risky activities, and we talked about all those. We created conditional access, yeah, done security center. So we did go through the security center named location as well. In fact, we created the named locations before, and this is just to Canada connectivity and talk about it. So you can just refer to the last video. Uh, Authentication methods, we talked about that as well. That what kind of you want to go for MFA, or you want to go for MFA based on security app or text or hardware. Good morning. And multi-factor authentication, obviously all the configurations there we talked about in last video. Then certificate authorities, so which CAs you are going to connect to, and I explained some more about company validation and domain validation certificates, which are very important for letting users and apps connect. So then we went for identity governance as well, entitlement management, access reviews, privileged identity management, lifecycle workflows is also uh, we covered. Yeah, so it's just workflow or something automatic that you do or configure there. Other than that, we were supposed to go for permissions management and verified ID. Then we're going to start the storage topic as well. And the external identities that is related to configuring SSO with another company. And this is something that I've been saying since AC 104, and I couldn't find either time or kept forgetting that I was supposed to create a lab for connecting to with sign-on with this. So uh, I definitely I have created half of the lab, and there are some steps going on. So this course definitely I'll be adding this how to connect Azure to Google, or is how SO really works, or single sign-on really works, where um, Azure guys can connect to Google resources with their own uh, username password. You don't have to create a Google username password as well as a Microsoft Azure password to connect to Google resources. You just need Microsoft Azure username password to connect to Google resources. So that single sign-on lab is still due, which is this external identities mainly based on. So we're gonna do that. Cross tenant access, where we will be really connecting to other cloud providers. So what I'm gonna go ahead with is this permissions management, and permissions management is something that Microsoft has just added here in it's newly added, and it's kind of still they're working on it. Permissions management has a different page here, so it opens separately. Now, if we go for Microsoft Entra Admin Center and then permissions management, there are dashboard, analytics, remediation, autopilot, audit. So if I click the help here, so first of all, what is permissions management? I'll just put it as a read here, and also let's then talk about it. Okay, guys, so please mute. By mistake, mic is on. So yeah, we're talking about permissions management, and permissions management is a cloud infrastructure. What? Entitlement management. CIEF, Cloud Infrastructure CI. Entitlement management is EM, CIEM solution, cloud infrastructure entitlement management, that provides comprehensive visibility into permissions assigned to all identities, users, and workloads, actions, and resources across cloud infrastructures. It detects, right sizes, and monitors unused and excessive permissions and enables zero trust security through least privilege access, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud Platform. So basically, in English, what it's saying is that it keeps an eye on your permissions that you have given to any user or any workload, any kind of actions going on, that automatic tasks are happening that needs permission. Suppose you are automatically giving permission to, there's a workflow and there are power apps, which suppose there is an app. So suppose there are three apps that's going to work, that if someone uploads a document, right? As soon as document is uploaded, that is, so this will happen in SharePoint or OneDrive. So one application is being used, right? Or OneDrive. Oh, my writing is so bad. Writing with mouse. So OneDrive, and then if somebody uploads a document in SharePoint and OneDrive, then send an email to that person. So this means there is another application that will be automatically used, and that is Outlook. But send email to that person, to some person, and also create an event for that. So that would be Azure Monitor. That's a third service. This is also the name of a service in Azure Monitor. So create event here as well. So with timestamp that, oh, somebody uploaded a document, create event. Now, this requires some kind of permission. So when you give permissions, so this is, I'm explaining that you can give permission to workloads and actions. So somebody uploads a document automatically, and Outlook will automatically send an email to certain persons, and monitor application or monitor service will create an event with a timestamp that somebody uploaded a document and it was sent. The email alert was sent to someone else. So permissions need to be given to SharePoint, OneDrive to let someone upload document, and then permissions need to be given to Outlook to send an email to certain persons like administrators and desktop support guys, and then permission need to be given to monitor. So automatically monitoring is going on. Sometimes you create an alert yourself. If somebody does this, then send email to that and create an event as well. So this kind of actions happen a lot with Power Apps. There are sometimes four apps are being used. Five applications together are automatically, being used in one workflow. So that is really, and what kind of permissions you have given here, what kind of permissions you have given here. This is a pretty simple example of giving permissions, but there are many automated tasks where you give a lot of permissions, sometimes to the users as well, sometimes to the applications, and too much permissions anywhere is always not beneficial for too long. So too much permissions to any service for too long is always not recommended. Microsoft is trying to reach for zero trust. This means that we do not trust our administrators who are actually handling the whole environment, or even administrators cannot be trusted. It's not like administrators will do themselves something. They could go rogue. Yes, this is not a big percentage, but also if administrator's password is hacked, then an administrator has all kind of powers all the time, then we are kind of stuck with this, right? Okay, it detects right sizes and monitors unused and excessive permissions and enables zero trust security through least privilege access in Microsoft Azure. So permissions management overall is just keeping an eye on It's a comprehensive visibility into permissions. Right? That's what we need to remember. Assign to all identities, which wherever you need permissions, any kind of permissions, resources across cloud. And this is another important thing here that not only so companies would not only have Microsoft Azure. They would have they would have Google Cloud. They would have AWS as well. So in that case, you would. So Microsoft has come up with this that if you have AWS accounts, you want to know permissions there as well. What kind of permissions you have given? If you have Google Cloud Platform (GCP) and you want to know permissions there as well, then that is where you can add AWS account here as well while you are managing it from within Azure, but you're looking at permissions for AWS. Now, AWS has also created that. AWS has also created that security mechanism for um, you know others to track others. So suppose you have your company mainly works in AWS. So through AWS, you can also check. So suppose a majority of the companies, in my company as well, as we are mainly Azure shop, which means that all Azure services, Microsoft services, Microsoft shop actually. So we mainly use Microsoft services, but many companies have AWS and Google Cloud as well, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. So it's now from where are your main workload, where are your most critical resources uploaded? That's what you need to know. So in that case, do you want to check permissions centrally from Azure for Azure resources, as well as AWS resources, as well as Google Cloud Platform resources? So suppose you have a lot of critical resources here in terms of virtual machines and storage, in terms of files and folders that were very critical. You also have here some EC2 in AWS. We call virtual machines as EC2 instances, and also in Google Cloud Platform, we also call it EC2 instances, which are just virtual machines. So you want to take care of what permissions are there, and maybe you have 500 users here, 200 users here, and 3,000 users here. Suppose you are centrally managing everything from Azure. So then this entitlement management, this service of permissions management will then be useful in that case if you have Azure, AWS, GCP there, but you want to control from Azure, or you want to have a monitoring from Azure for AWS and GCP as well as in Azure. But from AWS also, this is supported that centrally you are managing permissions from here, and you want to manage permissions from AWS to for Azure, your resources in Azure and your resources in Google Cloud as well. But that's what Microsoft has introduced, and in our company, we still see the previous version of Active Directory. Our company, Azure, has not been Azure Active Directory has not been moved to Entra Admin yet, but they are slowly moving us to Entra Admin. This is Entra Admin Center now instead of Azure Active Directory. It used to be called Azure Active Directory only when we open from here Azure Active Directory. Now they open actually Entra Admin Center, and they have put a lot of security features which were separately available in security.microsoft.com. But they have put many of those security features related to Azure Active Directory here, and that's what we were going through in last classes. Well, so permissions management, yes, we get to know that okay, it's management of permissions, and but the thing is that they have they synchronized it or not? So if I just with Azure Active Directory, so they should, because they don't say here that it's a preview if they had said preview, then like this means that it is still, they are, the commercial version is not available. But this is, available here, and that's the page for, going on onboard permissions management, enable permissions management, overview, view risk metrics in your authorization system. So when you're authorizing anyone to connect to your application and perform some critical tasks, so oh, paste the link. Okay. Paste it and easy 104. Okay. So let's view risk metrics in Azure authorization system, view key statistics and data about your authorization system. So what kind of authorization are you giving, and to whom and why and for how long? Configure settings for data collection. It will keep on collecting data for obviously who did you give permission. So this is pretty comprehensive in terms of permissions, and this is in my company as well. We had been really busy in, getting uh, talking about discussing that who should have what kind of permissions, and we had a project started, which is identity and access management. In that project, we then went for all the higher privileges, and we tried to ask, hey, do you really need that privilege? And then we would ask the task. So this is how the combination really becomes a task gained against permissions, right? So you have tasks. Oh, I need to create users every day. I need to edit users every day. I need to change their names because there are so many tickets that are open for that. So, what are the tasks you're doing? What permissions against those tasks you were given? So, and in my company, I discovered during our identity and access management project that tasks were very, tasks were not that big or didn't require that level of permissions that the users were having. So then we had to figure out that, okay, which is the least amount of permissions. The best thing is that for whatever task, least amount of permissions, the least permissions, or we also call it more restrictive permissions should be given. Right? So you ask the task and then you check that, oh, there are some lower level permissions here as well that also lets this user do the task. And uh, Obviously, this means that higher level permissions cannot be given. So this has to be sorted out. Especially in my company, the developers are having all-out access, had all-out access for many areas, and then I had to ask them, okay, exactly what you do. Then they had to put the task with this application. I do editing of application services and change of services and change of this and that. Then I realized that, okay, which permissions actually can let it do, and they are lesser than the ones that are given already. So tasks against permission is something you have to really do a hard work on it, right? So it will be not easy to really understand unless you know that application administrator gives that kind of what kind of permission application administrator gives and what kind of permissions a user administrator will give. Application administrator obviously has more permissions and the scope is very big, while the user administrator has the scope is just the configuration of the users. Right? So this is where you have to do your bit of homework as well as we can say office work, where you talk to the users and just ask them that what are their tasks. Developers definitely need higher permissions, but not everyone else. Business analysts, they may not need that kind of higher permissions. And what kind of permissions are needed? Yes, you have to do your homework for that. Okay, so view information about identities and then manage roles, policies, and permission requests. So, yep, it goes about then setting alerts, manage rules for authorization systems, generate reports. Also, frequently asked questions. So, it's all about overall management of permission. If I go to onboard permissions management, enable permissions management, so it says it just tries to then show to enable permissions management in your organization, you must have an Azure AD tenant. Yes, we have that. If you don't already have one, create a free account. Also, you must be eligible for or have an active assignment to the global administrator role as a user in that tenant. So this is still during public preview. Permissions management doesn't perform a license check. The public preview environment will only be available. Okay, so that is also done. October 7, 2022, they have done that too. How to enable permissions management on your Azure AD tenant. So in your browser, go to Entra Services. So we are already in Entra Admin Center. So there we are already there. So then if you aren't already authenticated, sign as a global administrator. Yes, we are signed in as global administrator. If needed, activate and the global administrator role in your Azure AD tenant. So yeah, we already have that. And activation. See this, they are saying if needed, activate the global administrator role. This is a very good thing, and we talked about that in last class as well, or previous classes. That you as an administrator don't have to have global administrator role 24/7, 365. Global administrator has all the powers, right, across the environment. So how about you are assigned global administrator role in such a way that it assignment expires every 8 hours, right? So we were talking about that, and they are recommending it pretty much in everything. So if you are global administrator for 8 hours, 8 hour assignment, 8 hour, 4 hour, 9 hour, but you were assigned this highest privilege for suppose 8 hours. So what happens after that? It expires and you are no longer, your user account no longer has privilege. So you have to go to your email because whenever you were assigned the first time global admin role or whatever admin role, so the invitation came in email. From email, go click activate button, right? Click activate, and this has to be implemented for everyone. The activate button. And then just activate the role again. You have to give justification. That's the next step. Justification. Oh, I want the global administrator role to fix this application and resolve this ticket. Um, so 8 hour assignment is just that you get the global administrator role for 8 hours. It deactivates. Suppose now you don't need it for next 2 days. I mean, there was no major ticket that required that highest privileges, global admin privileges, right? So, but after 2 days, there was a ticket and that required that you need to have global admin. So you go to your email, you click the activate button, and then give justification. Oh, there's a ticket number 26784. 4, right? So suppose that's T26. So that's how maybe the naming convention for the ticketing in your company is. So for resolving this ticket, I am activating the global admin role. Then just once you activate, it's going to be 8 hour activate assignment or activation, and then it's going to be taken away from you again. So this means that if your account was hacked and you never activated that, role, because when you go to activation you still have to give the MFA there, right? So somehow if the hacker got access there to your machine and to your role, to your user account, well, obviously hacker would only get access if MFA is also working there as well. But for any hacking attempt or vulnerability related, or Trojan horse being used to open backdoors to get into your machine, So that role is only activated for 8 hours. Suppose you did not activate yourself, so this role, your username is not having global admin privileges for maybe 3 days, 4 days. If you didn't need that, you didn't activate it, and it's not you're not global admin right now. So your account hacked would have be of no benefit to the hackers. So this is what they are mentioning that if needed, activate the global administrator role in your. So you are global administrator still. You have to activate that. So this is the new normal now. It used to be that you will have global administrator role 24/7, 365. In my company, we haven't still gone to activation yet. I put that for my junior administrator. Uh, wanted to test this. So junior administrator just got hired like few months ago. So he has to activate the SharePoint administrator role. Then I get to know that, oh, okay, so there are some risks here as well. So suppose some critical resources are down and you need to access global administrator from your email, and somehow your email is not accessible right now, so you're stuck, and a global administrator needs to be there right away. So anyone I think has to be having a global administrator role 24/7, but it needs some more practice. But if none of us, suppose there are two global administrators and none of us right now have activated it, and both of us somehow lost access to our email as well. So from there we activate the role, but that email is not, or mailbox is not there. So what do you do then? Both global administrators are out of, they don't have that privilege to really correct whatever issues or 31 issues are there. So that's why we were just a bit afraid of doing that for every global administrator. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead there. We were trying to go for permissions management configuration in the Azure AD portal. Select permissions management and then select the link to purchase a license or begin a trial. Okay, so it's a separate license. It's not coming with E5. There are two ways to enable a trial or a full product license: self-service and volume licensing. For self-service, navigate to the Entitlement portal, try permissions management, and purchase licenses or sign up for a free trial. The second way is through volume licensing. Okay, configure data collection. So then it says use the data collection collector's dashboard in permissions management to configure data collection settings for your authorization system. So obviously, first you need to know. Suppose you have 20 administrators there. First, you need to know you have to collect data, right? This administrator has this role assigned to him or her, and so when we talk about uh, the roles, groups, devices, applications, and identity governance. So whatever rules has been given here, they have changed the whole Active Directory. So it's a bit more annoying to search everything again. Where they have placed what. I was so used to with the older way of doing things, and now they have changed it to a bit more. They've just rearranged things, and now we have to get used to where is what. Show more if I click, then I think it will come. Roles and admins, seriously. Okay, so these are the roles and admins that we will always talk about in terms of authorization and who has what role. Application administrator, application developer, attack payload author, attack simulation administrator, attribute assignment administrator. So it goes on and on and on. There's so many administrators for pretty much all the critical features. So we're talking about that. Who gets, so first collect data. Data collectors will collect data that who have been assigned what role, right? And what permissions. And then you take action on that. So it also says that if the data collector's dashboard isn't displayed when permissions management launches, in the permissions management homepage, select settings, gear icon, and then select the data collector's subtab. So if I go to this enter permissions, there is that gear icon, and um, still loading. There's no, the theme is different. I mean, just like that Microsoft has purchased some other software here. That is, so there's data collectors here, right? And in the data collectors, you have to create configuration there. The configuration, now you see here, manage authorization systems, automatically manage. So select an option to manage your authorization systems. An authorization system consists of Azure subscriptions. Um, so we have purchased one subscription, and when we create an account, our subscription is there, and you have to attach a credit card to your subscription. Allow permissions management to automatically manage all authorization systems. So what system is being used to authorize? Are you using AWS to authorize your users? Are you using Google Cloud? Are you using Azure? So choose one of the following options to create role assignments that grant access to your authorization systems. Add reader role, subscriptions, or management groups to cloud infrastructure entitlement management application. So they're just saying that overall, try to configure uh, that data should be collected for whoever has authorization and what kind of authorization system is being used. So if I go for enter authorization systems, select to enter individual authorization systems for data collection, or select authorization system, select specific authorization system for data collection. Suppose I go for that. So they have different option there. Permissions management will start discovering all authorization systems after you click verify now and save. Once the list is available, navigate to the data collection page. So they're just saying that verify now and save. What do you want us to collect? So I'm going to read that again. Automatically manage, allow permissions management to automatically manage all authorization systems, or first you want to know that what are the authorization system we are using. We are just using Azure right now. We're not using AWS. We're not using a Google Cloud platform, right? Or you can just enter the authorization system yourself, or you want to know what authorization system you are working on. So I'm going to go for the third one and see what data it collects. If it takes long time, we can go to the other feature and then come back here. So verify now and save. And it's just trying to discover that what kind of authorization systems we have here. Now, this is data collector. And then there is authorization systems that will appear here, that are you using Azure or AWS as well, or Google Cloud Platform, also billable resources, no licensing data. We haven't purchased a license for that. This is separate license for, even if we have access to Azure Active Directory with Enterprise 5 licenses. So Entra permissions have a separate license. This means you pay a little more for that. Quick review. Go to the billable resources tab to view billable resources and total license count, replacing the inventory. And that's why we don't have it in our company right now. It is a totally separate billing mechanism, and it will cost the companies a bit more. But yes, if you are able to know who has what permissions, that is a very uh, crucial knowledge, that whoever has unnecessary permissions, remove them. Give that person something lesser, uh, as we follow least privileges, right? Go for least privileges for every person. So you have to know who has what permissions and then act accordingly. Obviously, there's a license involved in that, but overall, this is how it looks like. There's, just remediation is there. If you purchase license, I think then others will also appear. So this whole platform is not ready fully yet in terms of working. So obviously, when it is fully ready with dashboard, analytics, autopilot, audit, they are still making it available. Right now, they are not. So we can click it even. But we understand that, okay, this is management of permissions. It will tell us who has what permissions across our organization. Suppose you have 50,000 users here, and who has what permissions would be a big task. So bird's eye view of, if you can know the permissions structure of all the users, then yes, that would be very, very critical. Now, what we need to do is we need to move a little ahead and uh, so there is one lab still, excuse me, due on me, and that is external identities. So I will be creating a lab for single sign-on or SSO, and that would be uh, the lab that I kept on promising from Azure AZ-104. I gave the step-by-step lab to you as well, if you have done that, but obviously I understand that I have to actually show you some of the T-shoots or troubleshooting that needs to be done with SSO or single sign-on, right? So I have clicked here, show more, then there are more options that appeared here. We had covered many of the security topics here for Azure Active Directory specifically, and there is user experiences, company branding. No, this is not security. Azure AD Connect hybrid management. So we did connect our local branch server Active Directory to our Azure Active Directory with Azure AD Connect in the Azure course. Monitoring and health. This is something that obviously is part of security. That how do you monitor all the resources there? So if I go for sign logs, it's very important that who logged in at what time, from where, especially from where. I'm logged in from Etobicoke and this is my IP address. Uh, if you go there, then they will tell you exactly. In fact, if anyone is following, is it really representing your area? One time I was seeing that I logged in, obviously from this area, but it was saying Quebec. So I was wondering that what is this? So then I realized that I logged in from an application that is hosted in Quebec data centers, and from that application I logged in. So that's why it was saying that I logged in from Quebec, although I was in Toronto. So this is my public IP right now showing here, is it? So if I go for what is my IP, right? What is my public IP now? And I know that it's going to change right, I mean, very soon. Residential public IPs change soon. So what is my IP? And yeah, it is 69.157.41.4. So, majority of the time, sign-in events in Azure Active Directory are pretty accurate. And this is how we actually caught one time an employee connecting to VPN to another company, and he was actually doing job in two companies, our company and another company. So from IP addresses, we were checking that, hey, this is a very strange IP. And there was a programmer who was, I think, going to some awkward sites, not bad ones, but like kind of dark web ones. So the IPs were different coming from that developer. So we told that developer, hey, what are you using our company devices for? Where are you logging in from? Then he got a little alert, and then we didn't see some suspicious IP activities there. So sign-in logs really gives you a very, very good, accurate information that where which user is connecting at what time. Okay, so if audit logs, then auditing also is there, that which application was used and was the sign-in successful, and categories what, and what authentication method was used as well. So and status reason, what is the status of the user? So everything else is in audit logs. Then provisioning logs, you deployed anything, that is there as well, but I didn't deploy anything. Log analytics, if you have uh, some application that create log files, what is log file? At what time, what event happened? You want to analyze maybe thousands of logs, right? So in that case, you have to then go for log analytics. Read about Azure AD integration with log analytics. So log analytics just analyzes your log files and then gives you a table or graph of who logged in at what time for how long, right? So um, log analytics is there. Diagnostic settings. This is diagnostic settings are used to configure streaming, export of platform logs and metrics for us resource to the destination. to the destination of your choice. So the thing is, whatever log files you have, streaming export, you want to export all those log files to wherever you want, and then run them against an analytical application, or just open them or save them for in future you want to check that, oh, last year who logged into which application for how long, and whose logins were unsuccessful how many times. So many types of information you can collect from log files, and then create your strategies for next year. So that is so that is something that we need to, um, that if you want to collect yearly log file related information, then yes, it will be then uh, available. So if you want to collect large amount of logs, then you come here. Workbooks, they just show you in a fancy way, uh, in a graph way, graphic, tabular form or graphs, how your logging in and sign logs and audit logs look like. But obviously, you have to configure the log analytics for that. And this is not configured. What log analytics does, it creates a storage. So if I go to a diagram here, so log analytics creates a log analytics. What it does is it creates a storage account, right? So storage account, and that's our next big topic about security of storage account. There, obviously, storage account, they will create log files. So suppose log.txt, and then log1 .txt, log2 .txt, log3 .txt. They will keep on creating log for suppose some virtual machine, for some VM. That virtual machine is so important that it's creating log files there, right? So those log files, when you create a log analytics, it creates a storage account. Then if a virtual machine is creating log files, then the log analytics is collecting all information from this log file. There could be 1 MB log files or 5 MB log files, 1 megabyte or 5 megabyte log files. But these files have a lot of data inside that, oh, last night, this virtual machine restarted at 11 a.m. Okay, 1 week ago, this machine had a crash, and then it was manually started. Someone at 3 a.m. So these kind of events are there in each log files, and those events are collected, and then there's a tabular form or graph form. It just says that, okay, how many times the machine crashed. So there's a graph that just then it shows there in, in that either. Uh, so workbook is exactly like that, but log analytics, workbook depends on log analytics. Log analytics will collect all the information from the log files and then send it to the workbook, and workbook would show it in a graph, whatever information is there, right? So that's why, but obviously you will have to pay for the storage account, and log files normally uh, they keep on getting created. If there's suppose thousands of users are connecting to this virtual machine, and they are thousands of users are connected to virtual machine, and they are making a lot of modifications, hundreds of modifications, right? So all modifications that are logable, that the log files are supposed to collect information about. Not every modification log files collect information. Suppose somebody has just modified a file, unless you create a audit report for that, configure an audit report that, oh, whoever connects to this folder, this virtual machine, and makes any modification, please create a log file for that. So unless you manually do that, some events are by default put in log files, and some, like, user just opened a file and changed it and saved it. Now this would not be saved in log files automatically by default. You can configure that as well, and then it will also start collecting. So major events are normally you install a software, the software failed to run, a service in the software, that a service that the software was depending on did not run, so the whole software crashed. Or the virtual machine operating system service did not run, or virtual machine itself crashed. So those kind of major events, bigger events are logged in the log files, right? So log analytics will just collect all the information from there and send it to workbooks and send it to diagnostics as well, and they will just show you in graph what is going on, and you can see it in a proper way and understand. Oh, okay, so this much events are going on. Oh, last year this machine restarted 24 times, suppose. Right? So it will show here in the graphs thanks to log analytics and collection of all the events and then showing it in a proper way that you understand what's going on. What kind of event happened more. So that's how it works. Usage and rights. So that is Azure Active Directory application activity. So this is still in preview, not commercially available right now, but who logged in successfully to Azure portal, who logged into cloud infrastructure entitlement management successfully, and how many failed logins were there, and office who logged in and was failed. So this is very critical information, that was there a failure as well? Oh, was that hacker attempt? So you would go for and check it out, Microsoft App Access Panel. So it goes on with who was successfully able to log in, and then view sign-in activity for Azure portal. Suppose you just want to concentrate on sign-in activity for Azure portal, then 19 success, 0 failure, which is good. So failures should be 0. If somebody failed to connect, then just ask that person, okay, that day you were trying to connect and it actually failed. So was it you or was it someone else trying to hack your account? So you can confirm this way, right? If we go down to bulk operations, so what kind of bulk operations were performed? Now, where are those bulk operations? In AZ-104, we did those bulk operations in all users, and these are the bulk operations here: bulk create, bulk invite, bulk delete. Bulk is just in large scale, whatever you do, and it's in large scale. You're creating 500 accounts, suppose, or 50 accounts, user accounts. So you can go for bulk create. It's gonna get it from a file, CSV file or Excel file, all the information. It's gonna create accounts for you. Bulk invite, you're inviting guests from outside. Bulk delete, you're deleting on large scale. You just put in the Excel file whatever names you want deleted. I will delete those names here for you automatically. Okay, so but this is just monitoring about who did what bulk operations. We didn't do anything, so there's nothing there. Verified ID. There's one more thing here, and when we click verified ID, this was not there before in Azure Active Directory, but they have added to Azure Active Directory after changing Azure Active Directory dashboard or console admin center name as Entra Admin Center, and they've added a lot of other things in the Entra Admin Center. That's the new Azure Active Directory console or dashboard. So overview is set up your organization here, and set up your organization to get started with using verified ID. So if I click learn more here, it says here configure tenant for Microsoft Entra verified ID. First of all, I'll just put that here and here. So and here. So that's verified ID. So although MFA does verify that as well, but also some IDs are created, or many times the guest users are invited, and those guest users are, you have to verify that, but they may have a better operating, mechanism for that. So Azure Active Directory verified credentials is now Microsoft Entra verified ID and part of the Microsoft Entra family. So that's kind of new for us, and we need to get used to Entra services, Entra based services. This is just a product flagship product name there, Entra, and then under that they will be adding a lot of new services and features. So Microsoft Entra family of products. Learn more about the Microsoft Entra family. Actually, because we are sent to Entra, so secure access for a connected world. Meet Microsoft Entra. So it's all about security. Microsoft Entra, all about security, secure access for a connected world, right? And then it says Microsoft Entra is a new product family that encompasses all of Microsoft's identity and access capabilities. So Microsoft Entra first introduces identity and access capability. So it needs to identify who you are, and then once your identification is good, then what critical resources you have access to. So identity and access management. Now it is called. It is under the that's main flagship product name Microsoft Entra. Entra family includes Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So it has Azure AD as well as two new product categories. One is CIEM, which is Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management, and Decentralized Identity. So there are three things that have been recently introduced here under the security platform of Entra. So you must know that because that's where Microsoft is taking us now in terms of security. When we were clicking Azure Active Directory here, Active Directory, it was only opening Azure Active Directory. Now, when we click that, so it opens Microsoft Entra Admin Center, and now it is also mentioning that it's not only Azure Active Directory that will open. We click Azure Active Directory, it's going to open Cloud Infrastructure and Entitlement Management. It's going to open also, it's all in the same dashboard now, decentralized identity. Products in the Entra family will help provide secure access to everything for everyone by providing identity and access management, cloud infrastructure and entitlement management, and identity verification. So this is very important to understand that the thing Microsoft Entra that we've been seeing for recently, I mean, it started popping up. So what is it exactly is? So this is something that you should always remember. I'm just putting it in WhatsApp as well as a definition, and here in the WebEx chat. And this is something that we need to know for interview. As I was saying that yesterday, I gave interview, and I keep giving interview, right? So maybe there's a good opportunity or just for knowledge. So they were asking about Azure products and especially security. And I actually mentioned at the start of the class that yesterday's interview, it was an initial interview. That was not even in-depth, interview at all. Technical. That was not even technical interview. So they were asking, "Hey, what is hunting in Azure?" So Azure Security Hunting is trying to find out loopholes in our infrastructure. So you become the hacker. You assume that you're a hacker, and you're trying to get into your own environment from outside, and then trying to check, oh, there's this loophole, oh, there's that loophole. So the hunting tool in Azure Active Directory security, Azure Security, uh, gives you the set of tools to let you check what are the loopholes in your environment that a hacker can use, or what kind of vulnerabilities are can pop up there. Are there settings enough to save us from vulnerabilities as well? Yeah, exactly. And then it says in chat, kind of auditing. Yeah, but this is definitely you try to kind of hack your environment yourself from outside with some tools there, or Microsoft tries to do that for you on your behalf. And it also checks your internal devices, which ones are kind of vulnerable, and where are the loose settings and not security hardened configurations available. So then it recommends that, hey, security harden this, security harden that. So this was asked before. But I'm just telling you what's going on nowadays, and you should know about Microsoft Entra. That it's just our Active Directory used to open just with Active Directory, but now it's a bit diff and run different. Right. So let's go keep going ahead. And I'm just going to go back there. But, Microsoft Entra family of products, which is you have to remember CIEM, which is Cloud Infrastructure and Entitlement Management, and Decentralized Identity, the need for trust in hyper-connected world. So then they give the use case here, our expanded vision. Obviously, this whole link is very important for you. So about Microsoft Entra family of security products. So it's still security. So I'm putting it in chat as well. So expanded vision for identity access is a good read for you, and you should try to know what they're talking about. Also, that's why they need access decisions to be granular as possible and to automatically adopt based on real-time assessment of risk. So who should be given access, right? They're talking about that. And they need this everywhere. On-premises, Azure AD, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, apps, websites, devices. So who has access to your critical infrastructure that is spanned across local branches, on-premises, Azure AD, AWS, Google Platform environments, right? So who has access to all this and why and for how long? So this just gives you a much better insight into that. Otherwise, in a big company, you're lost that, okay, who has access to that? Maybe at one time you concentrated on that, and then there's so many other tasks came that you were lost again. So this will give you a bird's eye view of who has access to all your infrastructure, making the vision a reality, identity as a trust fabric. So it's the identity, username, passwords that lets you go in, right? So do you trust that whole identity mechanism that is being used? Because nowadays, obviously, ransomware attacks are happening in many big companies, and millions of dollars have been lost. So companies are stressing on Microsoft and AWS, Amazon, and also Google Cloud, that hey, do your job better and make this security, hack proof, and try to give us some a proper insight into where are the loopholes in our security, right? So making the vision a reality and it has trust. So and then it says Microsoft Entra at a glance, and then it goes for this is what it's we were talking about as well, that Microsoft Azure Active Directory permissions management verified ID. This is what the actual product names are, and reduce access risk across clouds. So again, who has access? Who has access to where, why, and for how long? Right? So it comes down back again and again to the most critical question: who has access to what? So this whole page is really, really very important for us to understand exactly how our security posture should be, and we're going to be going in depth with that too. I'll just put that here. So I'll be uploading that on LMS. So we were talking about verified ID. So we're going to go back to that. And that is overview. And then I clicked learn more here. So verified ID. Now here, and it was Microsoft Entra family. That's where we try to then find out that what else is there in the Microsoft Entra family of identity solutions and get started in the unified Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So it's pretty much for security. So your concern should be what is Microsoft Entra, because in near future interviews or near future products, you'll be facing this name Entra Admin Center. Microsoft Entra Verified ID is a decentralized identity solution that helps you safeguard your organization. So first of all, this is that other thing that we were so verified identity, and this is a decentralized solution, which it was saying here. So first thing is that it has Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Second thing is cloud infrastructure entitlement management, and the third thing is decentralized identity. These are the main things that we need to concentrate on because that's where Microsoft is taking us. So that's the second tool. Decentralized identity, verified identity is a tool for the concept decentralized identity. For CIEM, the tool is permissions management, right? So that's what we are talking about now. So I'm just going to go back here. The service allows you to issue and verify credentials. Okay. Aren't we getting verification with the MFA? Like, okay, there's multi-factor authentication, passwords, as well as, cell phone-based authentication. So the service allows you to issue and verify credentials. Issuers can use the verified ID service to issue their own customized verifiable credentials. So you want to even customize that. Hey, please verify my ID. I know that I'm verified with MFA, multi-factor authentication, but further verify my ID. I am who I say I am, right? You are who you say you are. Exactly. And there is no impersonator that is acting as you and then connecting to critical resources that you use to connect, but it's actually a hacker. So, customized verifiable credentials. Verifiers can use the service's free REST API to easily request and accept verifiable credentials in apps and services. So API is just application programming interface, and you can integrate or interact with some other services with the help of REST API. Is just a process of one service requesting some information from another service, or one service requesting verification of some type from another service. So inter-service talk that we kind of say is REST API as well. In both cases, your Azure AD tenant needs to be configured to either issue your own verifiable credentials or verify the presentation or users' verifiable credentials issued by a third party. So either Azure Active Directory says, yes, this guy is who he or she says he or she is. Either Active Directory says that, or a third party has to verify. Yes, it is Amir. I also think it is Amir. So Azure Active Directory, what do you think? Azure Directory says, seeing his credentials, I think it is Amir. It's not a hacker. And then the third party, if you want to get verified there as well, yeah, the global administrator, Amir, oh, credentials are here in the key vault. Let me check the certificate, user certificate. Oh, yes, this is Amir. Okay, he's not a hacker. Let him in. So that's what they are trying to do here. In the event that you are both an issuer and a verifier, you can use a single majority tenant to both issue your own verifiable credentials and verify those of others. So, if you are the verifier as well, if your Active Directory is issuing the verification, yes, I say this is Amir, and then you are the verifier. Okay, let me verify from if it's Amir. So, so that can also be done, and for others, you can also do that. In this tutorial, you learn how to configure your Azure ADs. It says that create an Azure Key Vault instance, set up the verified ID service, register an application in Azure AD. Now, it is asking about an application. Is this application, uh, verified? Is this application the one that we are supposed to use? So this is about application security right now they're talking about. Decentralized, this example is about application, but decentralized security is that not only Azure Active Directory trusts or verifies the identity, but also suppose you purchase a certificate from somewhere from a CA. So, famous CAs are DigiCert, suppose there's Register.com SSL Digital Certificate Authority, right? So that provides SSL secure socket layer, SSL certificate checker. So you purchase, suppose, a certificate from a CA, which is certificate authority. And what does certificate authority do? It tells the public, hey, public, this company is, oh, this website is okay, this company is okay. You can connect over the internet to this company because we, DigiCert, have verified that this company is legit. It has a good financial standing, and then it actually has a physical address as well. So yes, we DigiCert are certifying that this company is okay. Suppose I go to Scotia Bank website, so and or any other bank website, TD Bank in Canada, right, or any other. So there's that lock sign here, right? In the lock sign, connection secure, it says. When I click that, so verified by who? Interest, Interest Inc. Incorporation. So if I go for more information, then there's certificate here, right? If you go to view certificate, so it says here Interest Certification Authority L1K, Interest Root Certification Authority E2. So it's some company called Interest from which Scotia Bank has purchased a certificate, and Scotia Bank says, "Hey, public, hey, thousands of people, the we got security certificate from Entrust, and Entrust tells that it's okay to connect to this website, scotiabank.com, right? There's one more thing I wanted to show that is, and they have then so many DNS names there that these are all trustable sites because the CA or certificate authority called Entrust has said that yes, these guys are okay, these are not. This is not a fake site, but I wanted to show you something else. Certificate policies, CA, reservation, krill. Mhm. So there's a thing called company validation, and then there's a thing called, so some certificates show that there's domain validation and company validation, and other certificates don't show that. So if there's a CA or company, sorry, CV or company validation, it means that the certificate authority checked the company, that is that company legit or some fraudsters put up a company name there. So then they say that it's a CV or company validation has also been done on this. Then if company validation and background check of the company was done, so public will trust that certificate, right? So this is what a full certificate authority related discussion here. So it just says that you want to verify an application. So here I was again giving an example of a user, but here they say that suppose you want to verify an application. Is this a hacker's application or is this our application? You can have multiple ways to verify an application. Prerequisites are you need an Azure tenant with an active subscription. We have that. Ensure that you have the global administrator, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we have that. Ensure that you have the contributor role for the Azure subscription or the resource group where you will deploy Azure Key Vault. So it just says that create a Key Vault, and yeah, that was an upcoming topic as well. That what is Key Vault and how to secure information in a Key Vault for someone, especially um, encryption, decryption information. So Azure Key Vault is a cloud service that enables the secure storage and access of secrets and keys. That's what Key Vault does, right? It does security of secrets and keys. What are the secrets? Secret is a password that is shared between services. Services want to communicate with each other, they must know the same password. Right? And keys, obviously, keys for encryption and decryption. So if you encrypt a data, then then others cannot read it. Those who are not having authentication to it, authorization to it. And when it is decrypted, then you can only read that data. So the keys for encryption and decryption are saved in the key vault. Verified ID service stores public and private keys in Azure Key Vault. These keys are used to sign and verify credentials. So this is just a definition of a very critical service called Azure Key Vault. What it is and what it does. This is something that will come in your interviews as well, or you should know it overall. That what is the functionality? What is Key Vault, Azure Key Vault, and what is its functionality? Right. So I'll just put it as a good read here, and you can even click the link here and take you to the site. But we were talking about verified ID. So overall, what we get to know that a verified ID does one thing, and that is it's going to verifiable credentials will be stored for an application. Verified credentials will be stored of an application in Azure Key Vault instance. Although Azure AD also secures the credentials of an application, they are saying that it should be decentralized. So not only Azure AD has the credentials of a newly added application, but also Azure Key Vault can save verifiable credentials of this application. So not only Azure AD has credentials of this application, that yes, this is a legit application that can be used with Azure Directory. Azure Key Vault should also have verifiable credentials of this application, right? So that's what it's trying to get to. That is called decentralized. That not only Azure AD has the credentials or verifications, but also another source called Key Vault also have it. So it goes for then the prerequisites here. Azure Key Vault is created. Obviously, we have to have an application for that too. If you don't have Azure Key Vault instance available, follow these steps. How to create a Key Vault? Yes, we can do that. Just to check that how to create a Key Vault. So if I click that in another link, Key Vault basic, no. Okay, so this is Azure Key Vault Basics, just for a good read, but I'll just create one just to show, but we're going to use it where we will. So what is Azure Key Vault in detail? So put that link here as well. So we were talking about verified ID. Verified ID just makes sure that it is decentralized authorization and authentication or verification. And the two centers are, one is Azure Active Directory that verifies. The second is Azure Key Vault, or it could be any other entity as well that can store credentials, right? So decentralized is that. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the verified identities here. And you can see that the key vault is here as well. Organization name, trusted domain, and key vault, then advanced. So we have to have an application for storing this, but let me just show you also how key vault is created. Understand what is key vault. Key vault is that security service that stores your encryption decryption keys. So if I have to create a duplicate here and page, and we're gonna go for key. They used to have a server vault, key vault. The key vault. This means that Azure Key Vault is not separately uh, Entra admin. I'm searching it in Entra admin. I'm not in Azure right now. Oh, Microsoft 365 is there. That's why, guys. If you want to do that, this is portal.azure.com. Because we are in Microsoft 365 is a SaaS service, software as a service, right? Azure infrastructure as a service is, where all the other services live, or where you can create a lot of stuff. So if I go for Key Vault, so that's where the Key Vault is. So the SaaS-based services would have accessed IaaS infrastructure as a service to create a key vault that can be used in their SaaS-based services. So I'm going to click that key vault here, and then there is that safeguard cryptographic keys and other secrets used by cloud apps and services. So once you create a key vault, you can give the address of the key vault to your applications and services, whoever wants to access a key vault. We have to create one to get access to it. So if suppose I click the create button here, and then it says Azure Key Vault is a cloud service used to manage keys, secrets, and certificates. So it also saves certificates as well. So remember that I was talking about DigiCert certificate. You have to one thing I didn't mention that you have to purchase obviously that digital certificate. So suppose it is $100, $200, up to $2,000. Then what type of certificate you want, and it is CV or like domain validation certificate or uh, you know company validation certificate, and that would be something that maybe from $100 up to $2,000 you can spend on what kind of security you need, right? So there are certificates that are as expensive, or there are cheaper certificates as $80, $100 as well, right? So a key vault eliminates the need for developers to store security information in their code. So when the developers were developing some new application for bank or for hospitals or for insurance company or wherever, so they were storing their security information in their application code as well, which was not very secure. So uh, Key Vault is just a separate service. Hey, I'm going to secure your secrets and keys and certificates. So you can refer to me in the application that whenever the application is trying to open a service, it will refer to Key Vault. It will ask, "Hey, Key Vault, can you give me the key so I can decrypt something?" And Key Vault say, "Hey, who are you?" It will cross check which service is asking this, and then it will simply let the key be used to decrypt or encrypt something, right? So it's a pretty secure way to access credentials, especially keys for encryption and decryption and certificates as well. Secrets are actually those passwords or credentials. It allows you to centralize the storage of your application secrets, which greatly reduces the chances that secrets may be leaked. So application secrets, which is again credentials or passwords, and it Vault secures it. Vault also allows you to securely store secrets and keys backed by hardware security modules or HSMs. HSM is hardware security modules. It says that the HSMs used are Federal Information Processing Standards or FIPS 42-2 level 2 validated. So it says that if you want to secure the keys of hardware security modules, so when we go for hardware security modules, HSMs or hardware security modules. So these are those devices that just lets you log in after verifying that it is you or it is the correct. So either it is a some kind of card like network card or security card, or it is some kind of fob, or it is some kind of any other security system. So normally it is fobs as well, like this, or you put this USB and it asks your password, then it reveals that yes, this is the correct user that who is connecting. Sometimes it's just a chip like this from which you're connecting, or a certain device, separate small device that is there. This whole um, machine has a confirmation mechanism for that. Yes, if this device is used, then the confirmation will be done here, then the user will be let in. So there are some FIPS based devices whose security keys can be also stored in key vault. So obviously there will be some kind of security information for this that you want to back up. You can back it up in key vault as well. So these are those devices. In addition, Key Vault provides logs of all access and usage attempts of your secrets, so you have a complete audit trail of compliance. So for compliance, so this is very good. That whoever used keys from the Key Vault at what time and how many times will be saved in the Key Vault, right? Will be saved in the Key Vault, or will be saved in the log files. You will have all the information from last year. You had been accessing these keys for how many times, right? Okay, project details. Then select the subscription to manage deployed resources and costs. Use resource groups like folders to organize the area. So subscription is this resource group. We're going to create that. Oh, sorry, get new. So in Azure AZ-14 course, we knew that this what is a resource group? It just collects resources in one group and for ease of cost management and for management purpose as well, managing all resources for a project, suppose. So anyway, today's resource group is RG dash honor. You can just put your name there, and 25 Feb 2023. Okay, so you can give whatever name you want. Here, key vault name, so that would be name can be there. I'm a key vault. I'm giving my name, so I would know that I need to delete that as well. And East US, I'll go for Canada Central because that's where we are. And pricing tier is standard. Oops, ouch. So hey, isn't that free? So premium includes support for HSM backed keys. So we know what is HSM now. It's just hardware based security devices. But we're going for standard pricing when it comes to Key Vault. Service is offered in two service tiers, standard and premium. So I'm just gonna click the prices as well, just to have an idea. Okay, so Canada Central, $1. Okay, they give the conversion of the US dollar with CAD. And then vaults are offered in two service tiers, standard and premium. So secrets operations, standard would be 0.040 cents for 10,000 transactions for standard, and premium 0.040 cents for 10,000 transactions. 10,000 transactions, what? These are the credentials that any application would request. Hey, Key Vault, can you give me the credential? And that's one transaction. Okay, so encryption. Can you give me the encryption keys? So the device is encrypting the data. So it is asking for encryption key from Vault transaction. Device is now decrypting the data so the users can read it. So application will ask the Vault, hey Vault, can you give me the decryption key in transaction? Again, user is done, gone, and data needs to be encrypted back again. So transaction, so 10,000 transaction per 40 cents. So for organization, this is not a big deal. Certificate operations, renewals, $4 per renewal certificate. So whenever there's a renewal, you need to go through a lot of steps there, right? So renewals, $4 per renewal request, and all other operations 0.40 cents per 10,000. So whenever certificate renewals are there, it's gonna charge this, and renewal comes yearly, right? Or sometimes 2 years or 3 years. But the rest is so it's not really expensive. If your secrets, hey, give me the credentials involved. Is if it's a large organization, obviously they will be used a lot. But in small organizations, whenever you open an application, it has to decrypt. Whenever you close, it has to encrypt. So open and decrypt, close, encrypt. How many times you do that in a day? So then when it reaches 10,000, then they will charge 0.0 cents. Right. Software protected keys, again 040 cents, and HSM protected keys, that is $1 per key per month. Okay, so yeah, when it comes to hardware, then it is a bit more expensive, and that is premium key vault, but otherwise it is 040 cents per 10,000 transactions. And they can fill up fast in a large organization. Okay. So we get to know the pricing tier as well. And then it's the standard one, and recovery options are soft delete protection will automatically be enabled on this key vault. This feature allows you to recover or permanently delete a key vault and secrets for the duration of the retention period. So you whatever you delete, do you want to still retain it for a certain time? So suppose you say, oops, I didn't want to delete that one, so I want to put it back. So if you want that, then yes, soft delete will keep it for 90 days. It shows here 90 days. Disable purge protection, allow key vault and objects to be purged during retention period. Purge protection, if you purge, just means simply permanently delete. So you don't want it deleted during the 90 days. Accidentally, somebody deletes from here as well, from soft delete as well. So you don't want anyone to accidentally delete permanently. So then you can have that disable still. I'm just going to go ahead and review plus create. So that was not much here in terms of creating a keyword, but we get to know that pricing is there and other things. So I'm just going to click review plus create. So there's a review and there's a still validating, I think. Oh, go on here. Figure it out. Yeah. Now it is good. I was thinking that, oh, it says upgrade. No, Microsoft is always improving in the background, and you start seeing new things were not there before that never used to happen. So this upgrade is showing here that never used to pop up here like this. Okay, anyway, so it's a view automation template if you want to automatically create that in future. So there's a code created with these settings as well, but I'm just going to click create and date. C-A-N-T, exactly. So it was grayed out, but it's it's not create and TID, it's ting, not TID. Still on ting. Now it's TID. So, all right. Deployment is there, and I'll go to the console like Z's, go to search and go keyword, although I can go from go to resource as well. And keywords looks like this. So subscriptions looks like this key, yellow key, and keywords, yellow key inside a blue circle. I'll click that. So this is how it looks like, and then so that's key vault operations. You want to say like key inside the key vault, generate and import a key, and then you want to generate and import secrets for any application, or you want to actually add a certificate, import, generate, generate certificate. Click that certificate. So yeah, it would be self-signed certificate then. Oh yeah, it is self-signed certificate. So you sign the certificate yourself, or certificate issued by an integrated CA, or certificate issued by a non-integrated. Integrated CA is, suppose the DigiCert CA that we had here is actually integrated with your Azure environment, and you're actually getting a certificate from public CA or certificate authority. Then it will be you can attach there, or you can just create your own self-signed. Is just that you created a certificate that tells everyone, please trust this guy. So Amir created a certificate himself. That certificate says, hey, I'm telling you to trust Amir. So that's why self-signed certificate has no value. If some proper organization, big reputed organization says, yes, trust them, like DigiCert or Verified or Entrust or VeriSign or GoDaddy.com. So those are kind of trusted by the public. They say, yes, trust this site. That's okay. Self-sign just says that I'm saying that please trust me. So that has no value, right? Sometimes we in a product, test environment we create self-signed certificates as well. Okay, so I didn't want to create a certificate here, but just to show you that we can create all this inside the key vault as well. And then access configuration, networking, Microsoft Defender for cloud, properties, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I have created a Armor key vault here or whatever key vault, and I'm copying that name from here. And I was back there in this verified ID. And suppose the organization name, so a unique identifier for your company and all your credentials only displayed in the Azure portal. You can change this later. So suppose my company name is, and it's not suppose, Cloud Engineers Academy, and the show name may only contain alphabetic characters, periods, scores, hyphens, parentheses must be between. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, what happened? All right, no space. Trusted domain. So trusted domain is this is your organization's domain. It will be used for all of your credentials. Often, users you interact with will see this domain and decide whether to trust your request or not. You will have to verify this domain at a later time as well. So if you have purchased a domain from GoDaddy.com, remember that we were doing that GoDaddy.com domain purchase, and then we were connecting to our Azure Active Directory. So if you have purchased a company domain from any domain registrar like GoDaddy.com or AWS or domain.com, so if you purchase domain from any of those or any others, then that domain you can put here. Basically, you put the company domain here, right? So if I go back here, open Entra admin again, Azure Active Directory again is inside Entra admin with other two, and then I go for custom domains, right? I click show more first of all, and then uh, custom domain was in domain names in settings. So currently my domain name is a free domain available, right? But obviously we should be adding here a custom domain. For that we need to purchase the domain from domain registrar like GoDaddy.com and any other, right? So, oh wow, .com or .ca domains. Kidding me. There's a deal going on there for purchasing a domain for 1 year in just 99 cents. And well, that's the first year you do that, and then next year they charge you $20. Okay, anyway, but you can just uncheck the renewal. So once you purchase from there, then you get you need to add a custom domain here, and then that is the verified domain. So I'm just gonna put my free domain there just to put some kind of domain here. So you must be a valid URI format, which is the given URL must start with HTTPS. Okay, I hope it accepts that. All right. So this is the free domain that Microsoft gave me already, the Jalebi one. So Key Vault. Now this is a place in your Azure subscription where we can store the keys to sign the credentials. And so there is that select keys, and then if I click that, then it says, "Hey, where's your Key Vault?" Azure subscription on it, and it sees my Key Vault that I created just now. You have to go to Azure IaaS, right? And not in Microsoft 365 SaaS. You have to go to infrastructure as a service. All right. So yes, we could have created a Key Vault from there as well if we had started, but I separately went there and just show you that you have to switch to portal.azure.com just to create a Key Vault. Okay. And I'm going to click select here. So this is a Key Vault where credentials for this organization for this domain name can be stored as well, right? And save and get started. It shows here. You need to register your decentralized ID in registration before creating credentials or verification requests. So whatever credentials you will create throughout this Azure Active Directory, suppose you attach an application. So I'm here in Entra Admin now, or Azure Active Directory. It used to be this, now in Entra Admin. And there are applications here. Suppose I go for an enterprise application, and obviously there would be some kind of passwords you have to put there, right? So when the passwords are put, passwords can be then stored inside the verified ID, inside a key vault as well. So normally the passwords for an application are stored in Azure Active Directory. Because we are talking about decentralized verification, so not only Azure Active Directory is verifying that yes, the credentials of this applications are correct, but also this verified ID with the help of Key Vault will also verify that, oh yeah, this application credentials are correct. Right? So Azure Directory plus Key Vault will then confirm, right? So it just keeps on saying that we need to register, and domain may not be verified. Okay, so obviously this is a free domain. I mean, there is no way to verify this. You have to purchase a new domain from godaddy.com or some other .com, and then go and then check out and then verify that by creating a TXT record in the DNS page of that domain. But this is saying you need to register your decentralized ID in registration before creating credentials or verification. So if I click this option here, it says your domain is used to build trust with others by proving you own the domain and your decentralized ID did. So this is decentralized ID. So terminology you need to memorize is DID. So your domain is used to build trust with others by providing you own the domain and your DID is registered to it. Yes, you have to prove to others, hey, this is my domain and my decentralized ID also proves that this is my domain. Oh, seriously. But yeah, that is how serious Microsoft is in protecting their users. So Microsoft Authenticator and other wallets use this information to validate this ownership and verify accuracy. Right? So Azure Directory is saying, yes, this is our domain. Now we say, no, Azure Directory, sorry, because some hackers actually used this and fooled us as well. So can you prove it through some other identification as well that this is your domain? So then you say that, yes, not only our Azure Active Directory is saying that this is our domain, but for decentralized ID is also saying that this is our domain. So you're just proving it 2 times to all the users because there may have been hacker attacks where they were impersonating as, hey, this domain is actually confirmed by our Azure Active Directory, while it was not. So they always come up with something negative. So destructive, I would say. You may register your DID or decentralized ID, verify your domain at the same time, uploading a JSON document. So this whole effort is going on just to have 2 centralized identification mechanisms confirming that this domain belongs to you. That's the whole effort, right? So DID registration, DID is not registered. And domain ownership verification, this is you have to verify by purchasing a domain from suppose godaddy.com and then go to the DNS page of godaddy.com domain, then create a TXT record there. This will prove that you are the owner of that domain, because you will be able to log in to the DNS page of that domain. That's a mechanism that we have performed in several courses, or in this course as well at the start. The ID is not registered, so I'm just going to click register here. This is second way of verification that this is our domain. Please believe me, this is our domain. Please. Registering your DID allows you to create credentials and verification requests that others can use. So if you have registered your domain with another identification mechanism, then public will trust you. That's basically what it's saying in English. So copy or download that DID document, host the file on your server at this location, uh, and visit this location, and then registration status, be sure to refresh registration. So they're just saying that we are creating a specific verified ID document, and if it is your domain, then go to this area in your domain, upload this document there. So then the second verified ID will also say that, hey, other than Azure Active Directory, I'm also verifying that this domain belongs to, yeah, these guys, whoever they are. Right? So they have created this document that needs to be uploaded to certain part of this domain. I mean, certain folder of this domain. So if I click download, oh, there you go. Fail to download the file. Error details, error 0. I think they're still coming up with the mechanism. Like seriously. So copy or download. Okay, copy. Okay, I will copy it, and better to copy. And where's that double sign here? Copy. So I'll just Control A, Control C. When I document myself, paste. It has authentication, assertion method, public key, controller ID, the hub, source endpoint. That's my domain name, Jalebi. So I'll just Control S, and we did verification document. I'll just name it something. Save, close. And it says just visit here and upload this document, right? Oh, this document should have a specific extension, did.json. So first I'll visit that. It should be, okay, we're having trouble. Cannot connect to the server at blah, blah, blah. If you enter the right address, you can try again later. Check your network connection. That Firefox has permission to access the web. Might be connected, but behind a firewall. Oh, yeah, I'm working in firewall. Firefox, not firewall. Okay, let me go open that in Microsoft's product called Azure. So, and this whole news thing, it's so disrupting. Okay. I'll just log in from this. I think it's gonna ask me credentials, Jalebi credentials. Oh, seriously. So guys, I'm just trying to make it work, but with Microsoft product, because it doesn't somehow like Firefox. So I'll just grab my credentials. This is a credential in Firefox, logged in credential with portal dot. Alt tab, go to Edge, go to use another account, do this. Okay, what's my password? The class password. Yes, disable, and it will give me that 7244. Hey, well, so yeah, we're there again, but now in Microsoft Edge. I think it didn't like Firefox. So register and download. Oh, still error. Kidding me? Okay, I already downloaded that file. I think then there will be an error here as well. Go. Do you want Microsoft Edge? No, default. Checking if there's a typo in Jalebi. Okay, if spelling is correct. Oh, maybe there's a typo. Okay, there you go. Post the file on your server at this location. I'm going to copy this and open it first, or I will remove this did JSON. Uh, Actually, I didn't ever never create a folder here like this. I mean, was it even expecting it to open? Uh, so did process refresh registration. Then obviously we have to w3.org and did. So I will have to check that why errors are coming, but I think it's supposed to have a storage attached to it, and there we can upload the file and not like this. So I have to check this or learn more on registration. I'm going to click that, and it says because it's complete verifiable credentials onboarding with web as the selected trust system. We're just talking about again that it verified ID should also trust your application as well as Azure AD, right? Both needs to trust. So this is a new way introduced by the by Microsoft just to gain trust of their users, right? Verified registration, how to register website ID, yeah, that's where we were. And did.json, so registering your website, blah blah blah. Copy or download the did document being displayed in the box. It didn't even let me download that. So upload the file to the web server. The document JSON file needs to be uploaded to location slash file on your web server. We don't have a web server. Once the file is available on your web server, you need to refresh. Where is the document in the .json file use? When does the .json file need to be republished? I think better have a separate domain related folder created and then you can upload it. It's not like, I mean, there was no folder there. I never created a server attached to this domain, so they're kind of assuming this that I have a web server already, then saying that put it here, then we will say that. So overall process, guys, is so the how to register your website ID for did. So this is also something newly added here, and the purpose of this is to you know uh, get your domain verified from two sources, not just one source. That's what we need to understand here. And somehow, I think they haven't perfected that, or because it's newly introduced, so there could be a lot of loopholes here. Especially with its free domain, I would say that that may not work. It would be the domain has to be verified as well. There's nothing attached, no web server attached to this one, this free one. But yes, what we need to understand from verified ID is that once it is created, then your domain will be trusted by public as well from now on. This is a new standard of Microsoft that, hey, our Azure domain is actually not only confirmed that it is our domain by Azure Active Directory, but also confirmed by verified ID. So there is a decentralized authorization. Verified ID says, yes, this is our domain and legit, not a hacker's domain. Active Directory says, this is our domain, legit one, not a hacker domain. So both separately verified. And we pushed through whatever we could the process to just understand that, oh, that's how it's going to verify. It just needs to know that do we have access to any of the subfolders of this domain. The best way to do it, purchase a domain, attach it here, create a web folder with that domain, or attach this domain to a SharePoint site, and then do the process, because then you will be able to upload it there. Or they haven't really perfected this, because I haven't seen that in my company and in some of the friends who are not also updated to Entra admin yet. So when we are upgraded to Entra admin, I think we will see the working version of that. Right now, it's not really working, but we understand the process now. So this is how far we can push, but I hope it is very clear that decentralized identification is so, I mean, cool. I mean, so such a nice extra security that Microsoft has added now, which is impressive. This is very impressive how Microsoft is pushing the security to new levels. Uh, once it is once it is verified from both authorizations, then uh, you can safely save your passwords to the key vault attached to this domain. You have to verify this is not a hacker's domain, then start saving your credentials, the key vault of this domain. O and K. So if I go back here to the Entra Admin Center, in fact, Entra Admin Center, right, which is the new Azure Active Directory now, which is actually a combination of Azure Active Directory, CIEM, which is permissions management, and then decentralized identification. So a combination of now three major tools or applications, we can say, services. Now we're going to switch to storage after the break. That's a lot of security there as well. And then we're going to switch to virtual machine security, then database security. So there's a lot of security topics coming your way. I wish, AZ-500 didn't mention Intune, the security that we implement through Intune. Although I'm going to be starting that process of the course of some students are asking to start a 3-in-1 course on Sunday mornings, Azure, Exchange Server, and Intune. These three are very critical, obviously. Azure always is critical, but Exchange Server is for companies' email management, and then Intune is for companies' devices management. So that is this is also a very good combination of skills that you must have those skills. Anyway, we'll be starting soon that Sunday morning course as well. Right now, let's take a break and come back and start with storage security as and well. Okay, so I will put to that break, and class will start um, 12 19 12 29. Resume this, and then we get started. So we are going for storage security and T. Storage security, but this keyword will be used there as well. So uh, before um, before we were talking about uh, Microsoft Azure Active Directory security, and now we will go for uh, uh, now we will go for um, Azure storage security, and storage, so storage security. Azure storage obviously is going to be, so before we were okay, let's do that. So we're going to go for Azure storage, and then there we're going to explore some um, the security tools there. So what is Azure Secure Storage, first of all? And how do we do the security? Today we're going to do the AWS storage as well, I guess. So it will be very interesting lab there as well. So Azure and AWS storage kind of, you know, uh, so wait, just one thing here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Now, where is Azure storage and how critical it is? Obviously, it is very, very, and then the fourth very as well, very critical because um, we totally depend on the storage because suppose you add any application, you add any virtual machine, you add any database, you add any other thing, any other service, they will all require storage. And then storage is also used for um, pretty much all uploading all the files and folders of the company. So very, very critical data of the company is stored in the store, this Active Directory storage account. So if I go to this portal menu and then go down to the storage accounts here, so this is one of the most used service. Even if you don't use virtual machines, you don't use databases, but storage is something that you will use no matter what. If you're on the cloud, you will use storage, right? So corporates will really um, have to ensure that their files, the Department of Defense, DoD of US government, they put their data there. Banks put their data there. So obviously, they are first confirming how secure is the online storage for Microsoft, Azure, and obviously for AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud platform. So how secure are they? And then their arch rival Alibaba, that is also a cloud offering from China, right? So that would also be something that uh, yeah, lots of people are using, lots of countries are using. Anyway, so we're going to be creating a storage account here. Create a storage account to store up to 500 terabyte of data in the cloud. Use a general purpose storage account to store object data. Use a NoSQL data store. Define and use queues for message processing and set up file shares in the cloud. Use the blob storage account and the hot or cool access tiers to optimize your costs based on how frequently your object data is accessed. So there are so many services. We've gone through lots of pretty much all of these services in our AZ-104 course, and the videos are available on Learning Management System (LMS). But now we're concentrating only on the security part of the storage. So I'm going to click that create storage account. Obviously, we need to create a storage account to explore storage. So I'm just going to click that. And then I'm going to quickly create that. So today's resource group we have already created. 25 Feb 2023. I'm going to name that storage account, which has to be lowercase without any space and just numbers. So Amir storage account, and then since it's I've been using Jalebi more, so Jalebi. Uh, it's more than 24 characters now. So instead of storage accounts, I'll just go for SA, and then Jalebi. You can just use some other thing. and today's date is 25 April 23. It's not uh, 20 more than 24 characters, so we're good. And we're gonna go for East Canada, Central Canada. Where's Central Canada? And Central. And then there is performance standard recommended for most scenarios. General purpose V2 count. So standard is there, advanced. I'm going to go for clicking the advanced button there. And then there configure security settings that impact your storage account. So there is required secure transfer for REST API operations. So wherever another application or service is connecting to this service, the storage account service, so the connection should be secure. Obviously, this is secure with the HTTPS, you know, which is encrypted software transfer going on between local application. So we're going to be installing an application here, which is the Azure Explorer. So the Storage Explorer, we're going to be installing that, which is also a proprietary Microsoft application. And from that Azure Explorer, Storage Explorer, we're going to make a connection, which will be installed in our laptop and make a connection to our storage account. Uh, okay. So we're going to go ahead. So this is selected, but we're going to also test it that when we make a connection from our application in our laptop to this storage account. Does it connect? Because it is, if this box is checked, it's going to only accept HTTPS connections. If we are unable to connect from our laptop application to this storage account, this means that that application does not support HTTPS. If that application is uploading files from laptop to storage account, this means that it supports HTTPS. Right? Uh, okay. So then there's allow enabling public access on containers. So what is container? Container is that folder where you upload files and folders. So do you need public access there or just private access is available? So we can change that anytime. Suppose we don't want it publicly accessible, so we can change it to private access. Enable storage account key access. Very important security mechanism there. When storage account, when is oh, it doesn't let me go there. When storage account key access is disabled, any requests to the account that are authorized with shared key, including shared access signature SAS, will be denied. So we're going to be having a lab on what is SAS and what is shared access basically, and then okay, so we're going to try to check that with client application. So we're going to be installing that Azure Storage Explorer, and through that we're going to try to connect with this ways is shared access signature or SAS. This all comes in the interview, and whenever you're doing cloud interview, that what are the main security features of storage account. So then you can say that SAS is there, and key access, shared key access is there, and then HTTPS connectivity is there. So there are so many TLS latest version is supported there, and then there is also and double encryption is also available there. So you have to line up all the security features for the storage as well. Then you have to line up the security features of virtual machine. Then you have to line up the security features of also the Azure Active Directory and database security features. Right? It goes on networking security features. That is Okay. So now let's go ahead with our so TLS default to Azure Active Directory authorization in the Azure portal. So this is saying that when what's wrong with here. When this property is enabled, the Azure portal authorizes requests to blobs, which is binary large object, or suppose there's one file that is so huge, so that is also called blob, binary large object. Blobs, queues, and tables with Azure Active Directory by default. So, do you want authorization of Azure Active Directory to be there for uploading or accessing files, queues, and tables? So it says that Azure Active Directory will then authorize or let you access or allow you to access the uh, files with this feature. So I'm just saying that yes, enable the security feature of Active Directory authorizing us to access files and folders. Also queues and also we're going to be talking about that as well. Minimum TLS version is 1.2, but older versions are actually deprecated, and we're going for version 1.2. Limited scope for copy operations. This is in preview, but it says for any storage account, for storage accounts in the same Azure AD tenant from storage accounts that have a private endpoint. So which scenario you want that the file copy operations be allowed? So from any storage account, can you copy a file to our storage account? From storage accounts in the same, so within the same Azure AD tenant where we are working right now, inside this tenant we are working, any other storage account can copy. And then there is from storage accounts that have private endpoint to the same virtual network. So this is just another scenario where if the storage account is in another virtual network or VNet, then can you copy, do you allow copying files between them? So this is pretty simple scenario that copying from where to where will be allowed. So now if we go ahead, so the data lake storage, yes, this is if you have huge data and you want to upload lot of once you upload a lot of data, and then you do analytics on that data. So analytics just tries to make searches in your data and give you the required results. Like suppose you want to search for last year how much was sold in different companies or in different countries, what kind of product was sold, which community, which ethnic community purchased more of the products, which product was not sold at all or less sold. So analytics just give you a lot of queries, smart queries there, and let you know the results in the graph. Okay, blob storage enable SFT, which is secure file transfer protocol. So if you use a FTP or file transfer protocol software, there are many FTP software there that are available. I think there is storage. There's a software called related to storage management, and there is Berry. The name of the software is kind of Berry something. Cloudberry, exactly. There's a Cloudberry freeware software that also helps you upload files and folders and connect to different, storage platforms like AWS, Azure, uh, Google Cloud Platform, right? So they also Cloudberry also lets you manage storage and copy back and forth between cloud and your laptops, anything. So yeah, it's just saying that do you support a secure file transfer protocol? So this means suppose you're doing using actually a file transfer protocol FTP from this application, then are you going to be so it says for Amazon S3, for Microsoft Azure, for Google Cloud, for OpenStack as well. So yes, if through this, you can see that SFTP is also showing here, right? This is a third-party software. This is not Microsoft software. And Cloudberry software is just used for connecting to storages of different cloud platforms. So you can upload files to different cloud platforms from one software, right? And it does support secure file transfer protocol, which means that the data and is encrypted, the tunnel or the connection is encrypted when you are copying or uploading files from here, third-party software to Azure storage. So SFTP support is there or not? So that is something that is supposed to be there, but enable hierarchical namespace. If I click that, then enable SFTP is showing there. So local users feature will be enabled with SFTP. Create local user identities to access the SFTP endpoint after storage account is created. So it's just saying that you want to support SFTP or secure file transfer protocol or uploading huge amount of files. If you want to do and you want to do it securely, then SFTP can be used. Also, there is enable network file system, which is NFS, which is used by Linux. So from Linux securely, uh, you can also see upload files from Linux to storage account in Microsoft Azure. But this is for some reason not supported. Cross-tenant replication. So if you have two tenants, remember that we're working inside one tenant. So if I go to Azure Active Directory and we go to overview of Azure Active Directory, and then we are so wow, I'm so frustrated with that. I have to work all the way just to know that what kind of where did they put what? They have just changed everything. If I go just for Azure Active Directory, so I was gonna check the tenant related information. I think it was in the properties. I'll go to roles admins and billing and settings, domain names. Seriously. So that was pretty easy to track where the tenant was. External, these are company branding, hybrid, Azure Connect. Wow. Serious. The thing is that cross-tenant replication just means that you have one tenant and you want to copy from one tenant to another. Tenant is that area where you're actually working and you're adding more domains, right? So in that case, how would you do that? So normally overview would have, there you go. Seriously, it's not showing before. Okay, manage tenants is here. So if we click the manage tenants, then there's one tenant that is created, but you can create more tenants there. So whatever you do in one tenant cannot affect, does not replicate in the other tenant. When you create, there's a totally separate copy of a work. It's a totally separate area of work where whatever you do does not affect anything you're doing in this tenant. So these are totally just like two separate houses. Whatever you're doing in one house, the other house has no idea what's going on or how many people are living in one house, and the other house has like maybe 50 people. First house has 20 people. Whatever 50 people are doing, nobody doesn't affect the first house that has 20 people. So the one tenant, whatever you do here, it doesn't affect whatever is happening in the other tenant. But you still want to have a cross-tenant replication. So then this is the feature for that. Cross-tenant replication and hierarchical namespace cannot be enabled simultaneously. Oh, if I uncheck that, then SFTP can only be enabled for hierarchical namespace. So we don't have any SFTP application here, but yes, if you want to go for cross tenant, then you can click that. So if you have two tenants, then it can allow you to copy between two tenants. To enable NFS version 3, hierarchical namespace must be enabled. When I enable that, still cross replication and hierarchical namespace cannot be. Anyway, so it did not enable the NFS still when I was doing this. or maybe the NFS is selected. No, it's not selected. Anyway, so these are the features for storage account that are available. Hot tier, access tier is hot tier. Frequently accessed data is put on hot tier, which is a bit more expensive. And if suppose you're not frequently using your data, then you should put it on cool tier, which is different underlying storage hardware or disks on which you put data. Infrequently accessed data is cheap. You can put there because you're not using it much, so they're not going to charge you more for that. But if you're frequently using some data, they're going to charge you more for that. So then there are Azure files, and Azure files, if you have very large files, single files, then you should enable that if you're going to be uploading that here. But uh, obviously, then you cannot replicate it across the regions. So, but in terms of security features, these are the security features here, advanced and security. Um, and certain options have been disabled by default due to the combination of storage account performance, redundancy, and region. Seriously, that's the thing with the region. You know, Canada Central does not have a lot of advanced features that um, other regions have, right? So East US has a lot of advanced features that I think Canada Central does not have. Um, so if I go previous, can I still change the region? Okay, there's a region. And I can go for East US and I click advanced. So yeah, the same options are there, but it also says still the same thing that storage account performance, redundancy, and region. Some of the features may not be available, right? Uh, so, okay, I'm going to stick to East US and then we're going to go networking here. The network connectivity, so how do you want to connect? Enable public access from all networks, enable public access from selected virtual networks and IP addresses, and disable public access. So this is all about network connectivity. Where do you want to connect from? Like, from internet you want to allow or not, then network routing, so you want to use Microsoft network across the globe or third party network and ISPs and telecoms that you want to use. So I'm going to go for data encryption. Again, this is security. So recovery is there. Protect your data from accidental or erroneous deletion or modification. Enable point in time restore for containers. And why that is not selected or grayed out. That is grayed out. Use point in time restore to okay, enable blah blah blah. Point in time restore and hierarchical namespace cannot be enabled. Seriously. Okay, I'll go and uncheck the hierarchical namespace because not gonna really use SFTP. So I've unchecked that. But then secure file transfer protocol is not available now. So there is some features, security features that will be enabled. Some security features will not be uh, enabled. I'm just gonna click next, and then I'm gonna enable that. So enable point in time restore for containers is good. That you take a snapshot of a container. What is a container? It contains files, right? So for this is in the chat, what is point in time restore? So point in time restore is that if you are having, first of all, suppose we have a container here, and obviously we're going to be creating a container here. Suppose there's a storage account, and so there's a full storage account. And then there is this container, so container called sales. So and it has a lot of files and folders. Container just contains files and folders. So now suppose there are lots of suppose there are 50,000 files and folders overall. So suppose 50K files are there, right? So in that case, and these are very critical. Suppose they are very critical as well. So you would want to take a point in time backup of that, which just means that you're taking a snapshot of that folder, snapshot that folder, right? So that snapshot means this is a point in time backup, which just means at this time, whatever the configuration is, then take a backup of that, and yen. Did I say yen? Okay. So and then you go for point in time restore as well. So point in time restore. So what it means is that when you take a backup of this container and whatever files were there. So suppose you take a backup here, and the files were 50K, but yeah, I'll take a copy of that and paste. So suppose the backup has 50K files, but then you make a change here, and now there are, or somebody for just deleted that uh, container, and or deleted some of the files of the container, and the files remaining now are like 30K files are remaining, and then you realize that, oh, there are 20K files, 20,000 files were deleted by someone. Oh, that's not good. So you then you already took a backup on maybe last week, and or maybe you were taking backup every day yesterday. Suppose you took a backup yesterday. Yes, wow, waiting for mouse. I need to practice again. Yesterday you took a backup, and then today somebody actually deleted 20,000 files from there, and 30,000 files are remaining now. So you want it back to 50,000 files and folders. So then you will simply point in time restore, which will just simply it will take you to that state of that container when it had 50K files and whatever configurations were there. So suppose somebody actually deleted 20,000 files and also changed some of the security configurations of the container as well. So data and configurational information stored in yesterday's backup, you can restore with the help of point in time restore, and then but it is quick, pretty fast. So point in time restore is faster than a regular backup, but uh, this type of backup is available for limited days, while regular backup is available for years, right? So point-in-time backup is just a quick restore. It's a quick restore feature which is not available, um, for years and years. But here, so after suppose 30 days, it will, or maybe 60 days, it will just start overwriting the newer backups on the older backups, right? While the regular backup, you can just take a backup of suppose a certain day and then keep it as separately for years and years. So the thing is, if you want to restore, uh, the previous configuration of the folder or container with that amount of files that were there at that time, then you can go for point in time restore. So then it keeps on taking a backup there. Okay, so let us go ahead. Enable point in time restore for containers, and use point in time restore to restore one or more containers to an earlier state. If point in time restore is enabled, then versioning change feed and blob soft delete must also be enabled. So it just says that you enable one backup feature. Backup is also obviously kind of you recover and recover from being deleted. So it's backup comes also in the security umbrella, but security is a bit separate topic. When you're saving your data from deletion, obviously you're still accidental deletions or recovery. It's also one way of security as NRL. Okay. So now what we need to understand from here is that versioning is also that you upload one file and then next day you change some of the things in the file and you upload that version of the same file. So whatever changes you made previous day will be stored or saved as a separate file, and whatever changes you made to the same file today will be stored as a separate file. So it's change based number of files. You make one change, or at one time you make some changes. So that version of the file you save it. So it will be a separate file saved separately, and then make some other set of changes, and as soon as you save that set of changes it will be a separate file saved. So that is called versioning. Maximum restore point days is, we can go for restore on May 31 if you choose 30 days. So suppose I go for here 365. So they say that this value must be at least 1 and less than the value that is set for blob soft delete. So blob soft delete, suppose I want it to keep my data for much longer time, right? So blob soft delete. Okay, suppose I go for 365 days here. Okay, so it does support 1 year, up to 1 year. It used to be lesser amount of time, so it does support. Suppose I go for 365 here, and then I can go for 300 days blob soft. So then the value that is set for blob soft delete. So enable soft delete for blob soft. So it's 365 here. Now, so maximum is for 1 year it can save that. Right? So after 1 year, it will start overwriting. Before it used to be much lesser than 1 year, but now they can save your container and you can quickly restore it within 1 year as well if you want to go for that. But definitely that will add to your overall storage. That will add to your overall storage there. Right? Enable soft delete for file share. So this is also file shares we talked about in AZ-104 that you can create file shares in container and then map it to virtual machine. So you can refer to that video as well. Versioning, and blob feed. So I'm just trying to go for security only. There is that enable version level immutability support. So immutability means no delete, no modification, right? Immutability means no delete, no modification. And for version level, so I was saying that suppose you enable versioning, it's actually enabled right now. Versioning for blobs is enabled. So one type of changes you've made to the file and they are saved. And then do you want that saved file to be immutable as well, right? So suppose you're going for versioning here, and versioning is versioning, and there is a file there, right? So file one doc docx. So suppose it's a Word file f1, right? So you made a change there. So once change one is done there, so that's a separate file. Now that f1 doc was again uploaded, but you made some more changes there, and those are change two. So change one and change two. So you made some more changes to the same and you uploaded it. Now, whatever other version of the same file you have here, do you want it to be immutable? Immutable. So immutable just means no delete, and no modification. Right? So you want it to be safe because old versions of files always are supposed to be um, there. Suppose you want exactly that change to be there, or you want to go back to a file where you made certain changes that you really want and not the newer changes to the same file. So then this versioning is very critical. And somebody makes changes to your older version of file, that would be not good for you. So that's why immutability can be also enabled here. So I've enabled immutability for versioning only, right? So that's just a security feature. Then encryption comes and there's a security feature for that too. This is also a security feature, obviously. So Microsoft Managed Keys Management. Microsoft Managed Keys, MMK. And then there is Customer Managed Keys, CMK. So what happens here is that if you are having some data here, so that data is supposed to be encrypted and TID. So encrypted, that data is encrypted. And now encryption, for encrypted data, there is always encryption key and decryption key, right? So that encryption key and decryption key, so encryption obviously is uh, opening readable file. So encryption is just make files readable, right? Okay, so it goes. And encryption is make files unreadable, not readable. And then decryption is that make files readable, make files readable, right? So uh, there are keys to change the data to unreadable, and there's a key for so encryption key and decryption key, they have to be stored somewhere. So suppose you lose the decryption key is lost. If uh, if decryption key is lost, then we lose access to data forever. So the thing is that you won't be able to read that data ever again unless you obviously decrypt it. And there are some paid, very expensive software that may or may not be able to decrypt your encrypted data. But the thing is that you have to be very careful with encryption decryption keys. If you lose the encryption decryption keys, obviously you lose access to your very, very critical data. So that said, Microsoft MMK manages the keys, encryption decryption keys for you. So suppose you encrypted your data, so Microsoft manages it for you. Or you want to manage it yourself. Suppose you go for customer managed keys, and this storage account will be granted. This storage account will be granted access to the selected key vault. This means that the key vault is now involved. If you want to manage your own encryption decryption keys for all the critical data that you have encrypted, right? So in that case, you will use the key vault. Both soft delete and purge protection will be enabled on key vault on the key vault and cannot be disabled. So this means that your key vault, if you delete anything from the key vault, you can still recover it. Soft delete just means that. And purge protection is that suppose you've deleted something in your key vault, for a certain amount of time, nobody will be able to accidentally permanently delete it. So purge protection is just that nobody deletes it unless I come there and delete it from the deleted area as well. So um, so there's enable support for customer managed keys. And so first of all, we're saying that yes, we will be saving our whatever data we are storing in the storage account, we will save or maintain the encryption decryption keys for that storage account data ourselves. We're going to manage that ourselves. We're going to have a key vault service enabled, and then in that key vault, we're going to be saving our. This key vault service is also obviously provided by Microsoft Azure, and you say that, hey, Microsoft, you don't have to really maintain our encryption decryption keys. We will maintain ourselves. So it's up to you. And then enable support for customer managed keys. So all service types, blobs, files, tables, and queues. So if you are encrypting blobs or large files that you have, or any type of small or large files that you're going to be encrypting, any database tables, NoSQL tables that you're going to be creating, and the data that will be encrypted, and the queues between applications when they message, one application service messages another application service. So queuing service just organizes those messages between two or more services. So if those messages needs to be encrypted, so all this needs to be encrypted, then encryption decryption keys you want to handle yourself. Better let Microsoft handle that encryption decryption key maintenance, or you want to do it yourself, then yes, Microsoft says yes, go ahead and you can do it yourself as well. It says in order to use customer managed keys, the following resources will need to have been created beforehand. Yes, we did create a vault, key vault already. If you have not been created, if they have not been created, you will need to leave this experience to go do so. Right? So leave this experience to go do so. Well, it just means that you can just create now a user assigned identity that has get, wrap key, and unwrap key permissions on the same keyboard, which is just means that get means get my file, and wrap key just try to secure my key, which is either encryption or decryption key, unwrap or wrap, further secure it inside the keyboard. So anyway, it says that, hey, customer, you want to manage your encryption decryption keys? Really? For all these files and services? And you say, yes, I suppose you want to do that. Then select a key vault and key. So where's the key vault? We did create a key vault, so I'm just gonna select a key vault. I'm gonna click that and Azure subscription. And yes, I don't have a hardware key management device that we already talked about. HSMs here, remember? There are some hardware devices that also, lets you go in. So we don't have that, right? So we are using key vault. Okay, where's that key vault? What is the key vault name? Oh, there's a key vault here. And what is the key? So it just creates a so for this says in the chat, does MS charges extra for MMs? Well, customer CMM, right? So it's the customer managed keys, CMK, MMK and CMK. So it's part of the package. Whatever services were not selected, or if they were defaults, if you stick to defaults, whatever package or cents per hour they say at the end of this, that they will charge. Suppose you keep on going for premium or whatever is not selected, and you select that, and it obviously then charges will increase. But the default one, MNK, it is part of the package. So whatever is the overall storage account creation price, it's just part of that. So okay, I'm in key vault. I'm selecting here because I created a key vault, and then they are saying, hey, you want to have a signing key, which is you can see some alphanumeric characters here. So I'm saying that yes, use this key for the key vault. So it says learn how to provision and activate a managed HSM, but we don't have a hardware one here. So there is a key that Microsoft will secure that opens the key vault to save your encryption decryption keys. This key is also able to open the key vault. So I'm going to click select here, and then yes, there's a key user assigned identity as well. So it says that user assigned identity is an identity in Azure. Okay. So user assigned identity is an identity in Azure Active Directory that can be used to give access to other Azure resource such as the keyword. So user assigned identity can also be used to give access to the key vault. There's a key that you need to produce to access the key vault, and which user has been given the privilege to use this key vault or open this key vault. You can select that too. So select an identity here. If I click that, and which user actually didn't give the no user assigned manager entity selected. Select a user assigned manager entity you want to assign to this resource. Create a user manage so by identity name or resource group name. Filter by identity name. So if I go for user, but I didn't actually resource group name. Okay. If I go to resource group name, which was RG, but I need to actually put the whole resource group name because it's not really detecting. So this means that I need to go to Microsoft Azure and go to the resource groups and then check the resource group name that I had and then put that. This means that also the resource group needs to be mentioned here, which will have security or privilege to act. So there's a resource group. I'll just go to the resource groups here, and this is a resource group, and that's the resource group name in which we can also this resource group could also just say that okay, uh, whoever has access to the resource group can access also the security key. So the keyword. Does it detect that? User assigned, user assigned. So I think we have to create that select a user assigned manager entity you want to assign to this resource. Although, so it has to be created before this means. And this is saying select a PM keyword. We did that. But it's still saying that you have to go for this. So I'm going to go without this and let's see if it lets me go ahead without this. Um, okay. So enable infrastructure encryption. So there is another security option here called by default Azure encrypts storage account data at rest. Infrastructure encryption adds a second layer of encryption to your storage account's data. So here it double encrypts your data here. Okay, something serious. Oh, I click the learn more quickly, and maybe you didn't get it. Know what's wrong with this now? Still didn't open the site anywhere. Okay. So what I enable infrastructure encryption, I'll just write it here just to pull up the documentation. What happens is whatever you have encrypted, you can double encrypt the data as well. So enable infrastructure encryption for double encryption of data in Microsoft. The concept behind that is so it's double encryption. Yeah. So what is double encryption? So infrastructure encryption, right? So infrastructure encryption. So Azure Storage automatically encrypts all data in a storage account at the service level using 256-bit AES encryption, one of the strongest block ciphers available, and is FIPS 140-2 compliant. Right? So when we say 256-bit AES encryption, so 256-bit encryption is a data file encryption technique that uses 256-bit key to encrypt and decrypt data or files. It is one of the most secure encryption methods after 128 and 192-bit encryption. It is used in most modern encryption algorithms, protocols, and technologies. Um, so what does that mean? Is AES encryption secure? AES encryption is secure, however, its security varies according to its variants. For example, using brute force methods, the 256-bit is virtually impenetrable, while the 52-bit DES key can be cracked in less than a day. So 256-bit, how would it look like as a key? Because it has then 256-bit characters there that would just uh, go here. So there are some key sizes also showing there, and 256 character would be not difficult to crack. There's a table there as well that shows that. So it says 56-bit key. What is bits? I mean, these are just alphanumeric addresses or numbers, right? That you put there. So suppose, uh, not this. Okay, was I already showing here was this and then this. So it's just the number of characters that has to be known, that what exact alphanumeric address is there, like A12357 B92 ZXY, right? It's just, and when you know that, you can open the then you can decrypt the key. So 399 seconds for 56-bit DES encryption. 128-bit key would be this many years. Wow. And then 192-bit would be 1872 times 10 raised to the power 37 times. This is 37 times you can times this. So that many years would be there. 256-bit would be uh, much eternity. You will try to crack and it will not crack. So it has such a huge key combination that brute force software cannot really crack that, right? So then there is symmetric and asymmetric encryption. We're going to be talking about that, but 56-bit encryption would take nearly forever to be decrypted, or key, that combination of letters and words be guessed would be taking forever. So if we go back here to this, where, yeah, here. And we were actually talking about double encryption. So Azure Storage automatically encrypts all data in a storage account at the service level using 256-bit encryption, which is already very strong. One of the strongest block ciphers available, and is FIPS 142 compliant, or dash 2 compliant. Customers who require higher levels of assurance that their data is secure can also enable 256-bit AES encryption at the Azure storage infrastructure level for double encryption. Double encryption of Azure storage data protects against a scenario where one of the encryption algorithms or keys may be compromised. In this scenario, the additional layer of encryption continues to protect your data. Infrastructure encryption can be enabled for the entire storage account or for an encryption scope within an account. When infrastructure encryption is enabled for a storage account or an encryption scope, data is encrypted twice. Once at the service level once at the infrastructure level with two different encryption algorithms and two different keys. So this is pretty, you really want to encrypt something, you really want to secure something, you can go for double encryption there. And that would be that you're already, suppose, encrypting, um, data there. So suppose this, only this container is encrypted now, right? So, but then you say that not only that this encryption is done for this critical container and its encryption key has been saved somewhere, encryption decryption key has been saved. I want to encrypt the whole storage account on top of this, and its separate encryption decryption key will be stored somewhere as well, right? So this is how you can say. So you can encrypt certain containers just on the container level. Uh, Plus, you can then encrypt the whole storage account software as well, right? So this is just that double encryption, which is very, very interesting to have. So suppose I go for this, this option cannot be changed after the storage account is created. Ouch. Okay. So now MMK is something that majority of us, majority of the administrators go for in terms of Microsoft managed keys for encryption and decryption. You can go for your own management for whatever types of files you want to encrypt, and then you can secure that encryption decryption key in the key vault. Create a key even for that. So first use this key to open the key vault, then open the key vault to get the decryption key to decrypt all these files that you have saved here. And then you can double encrypt the whole thing again here. If you click advanced here, so then they say multi-tenant application, you are required to select the user assigned managed identity first. So the thing is that, okay, user assigned identity is an identity in Azure Active Directory that can be used to give access to other Azure resources, resource such as Azure Key Vault. So, man, something wrong with, oh, maybe it's Firefox. Anyway, I'm going to go for user assigned identity as well. So Azure user assigned identity. Um, so managed identities for Azure resources. I think I did select that during storage account creation, or so a common challenge for developers is the management of secrets, credentials, certificates, and keys, and used to secure communication between services. Obviously, developers, when they're developing applications, they need to put some password somewhere, right? So, for those applications and services, managed identities eliminate the need for developers to manage these credentials, while developers can securely store the secrets in Azure Key Vault. Services need a way to access Key Vault. So, managed identities provided automatically managed identity in Azure Active Directory for applications to use. Okay, in English, what it says is you create a user account that is used to access automatically Azure Key Vault, and that is called managed identities. We also refer to it as service accounts, which are used for services to access credentials or passwords. Managed entities provide an automatically managed identity in Azure Active Directory for applications to use when connecting to resources that support Azure AD authentication. Here are some of the benefits. You don't need to manage credentials. So if you create a user account or a service account that is like a user account and provide it to your application, so application is told, hey application, use this user account, or which is also called service account if it's used for services. Use this. I'm just giving an example that if an application needs to access credentials, in fact, I'll just go here. So there is a storage account. This is storage account, right? So that would not be. So you have a key vault here. Key vault. And then you have an application here, and then you have a user account. User account, which is actually a service account. So you put some name there, like suppose the application is SQL. So SQL service account, it gets created like a user account, right? Service account is there. Now you can create managed identities. So whenever you're creating a user account, you have to create a password for that too, right? The thing is, with managed identities, what happens is that passwords are automatically managed, changed after some time, and updated automatically with applications and other services they are connected with. So it's pretty important, feature that when you are using managed identities, it's kind of a user account, but it's actually a service account. And you don't have to really manage their password. Oh, I need to change the password of this. Let me go there and click reset password and change the password. No, with managed identities, it manages automatically its password. So it's really important for the applications and developers. So suppose an application wants to access some passwords in the world. So suppose there are passwords there, secrets there, security certificates there. So the application would simply you would have created a managed entity that is already having a connection to the key vault. So that managed entity service account has access to key vault, and it has been given access to application. Hey application, you need credentials. Just automatically use this service account and ask the key vault, hey key vault, I need the that password that you have stored for me, the application. So this user or service account has the privilege, the permissions to access a key vault, and it will simply automatically grab that password and give it to the application. Right. So whenever application would just simply, so whatever service it needs to open automatically, some automatic process where you need to open some services, but before that they require a password. So you contact through this managed entity service account, and then the password is retrieved, you use it, and then application keeps on working automatically. Right. So that is managed identities that we are talking about here. And managed identity types, so system assigned managed identities and user assigned managed identity. System assigned, some Azure resources such as virtual machines allow you to enable a managed entity directly on the resource. When you enable a system assigned managed entity, a service principal of a special type is created in Azure AD for the identity. So they're saying that some services like virtual machine service will simply create automatically a managed identity there in Azure Active Directory, which will through which managed entity virtual machine will get authorization from Active Directory. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? Can I do that? They create it automatically. The other side is you may also create a managed identity as a standalone Azure resource. You can create a user assigned managed entity and assign it to one or more Azure resources. When you enable a user assigned managed entity, so what happens then? What's the benefit of that? A service principal of a special type is created in Azure AD for the identity. The service principal is managed separately from the resources that use it. User-assigned identities can be used by multiple resources. You authorize the managed entity to have access to one or more services. So we authorize that user-assigned identity that let an application access the passwords through you. Right? That's the same application can, through a user-assigned managed entity, access some of the passwords in keyboard whenever they want, automatically. So suppose I go for create a user-assigned managed entity here. I clicked it. So create a user-assigned managed entity, list user-assigned managed entity. So there's that prerequisites as well. If you aren't familiar with the managed entities for Azure resources, check out the overview section. Be sure to do the difference between a system assigned and user assigned managed entity. If you don't already have an Azure account, blah, 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 we have an Azure account. To create a user assigned managed entity, your account needs the managed identity contributor role assignment. I think I'm global administrator, so maybe I don't need that. Sometimes even global administrators that are supposed to have all the powers sometimes does not have some specific powers, right? So in the search box, enter manage identities under services, select manage identities. So there's a search in the search box. I can go for manage identities. I can try to go till the dead end, whenever it says something that we are unable to do. So if I go for managed identities, is this right? Azure. I go to manage identities, and then I'll just go back here. We are creating that because this process is saying that more security can be made available, like enable infrastructure encryption, double encryption can be made available if we have a user assigned identity. That's why we are going for that. So also user assigned managed identity is very, 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 and again, very important. Create, so manage entity. Okay, I'm here and I'm going to click create here, right? And then select the subscription to manage deployed resources and costs. Use resource groups like folders to organize, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I have a resource group for today that I will be deleting at the end of the class. Then there is Canada Central. I think I changed that to East US for my storage account. So I have to keep this service also on the same account. Also, managed identity and then next tags. And whatever tags you want, manager, John, project, this, review and create. So blah, blah, blah. Okay, running final validation and then create. I have created a managed, okay, now I have created a identity. So I'll go again to manage identity. This is what we used and refresh, there you go. Managed identity. It has a subscription ID, location, resource group, manage identity here. And if I go to manage identity, so Azure role assignment, you can give some kind of role to it. Obviously, according to that diagram. So not this diagram. So if this account has been given some privileges and roles, maybe those roles are useful and the application needs to access some password. So if this service does not have the permissions or type of roles that are needed to access the passwords or talk to the application to get access to the passwords, so it would not be of any use. So if I go back here, so yes, there is a possibility of creating that. But according to whatever we are doing, whichever application we are connecting to, then we can only check that what kind of roles are needed according to the documentation of that application. There's so much in preview and properties and logs and advisory recommendations. Not much here other than the overview, and then there's a managed identity. So if I go there back and say that, hey, I got the managed entity, and yeah, so it sees that as I managed identity and T. So I'm going to click add here. So once I go for managed identity, so this is an identity that will now let cannot be changed after the storage account is created. Yeah, it's okay. So that will let this storage account talk to um, the key vault and grab that encryption key for infrastructure or double encryption. Enable infrastructure encryption, double encryption when you want to do that. So you can actually use the managed entity. Hey, managed entity, can you grab me the key from key vault to double encrypt or decrypt the double encryption right now. So this double encryption will talk to managed entity will talk to key vault and grab that key for encryption and decryption, right? So that's how it all, the security side of the storage account is configured. Obviously, I can see now that the time is running out, so I will have to then create that. Let me just check review if the whole configuration was acceptable by storage account as well. And so next class, I will have to exactly configure it this way. But yeah, so this is something that I need to. Right, it has accepted my configuration, but I need to save this configuration because this time when I check that what did I configure, I need to be exactly configuring it that way because I had created a key vault as well. Oh, seriously, it's a long one. So where did it end? File shares. So these are large file shares, large file. Okay, large file shares, encryption. So that's exactly the configuration I need to create again. And then we're going to test all this these security configurations when when we have created that storage account. But obviously, first we need to understand that what security configurations we configured, how do they work, why are we doing that, and we're going to test them out as well. Right? So that's so as soon as when I click create, it's going to create that account. It's going to take some time. By that time, we will run out of time as well. So, but what we've discussed in this, obviously, we will be configuring it again in next class. Then we're going to be trying to test more security features inside the storage account, which are not yet showing here. But we have done enough protection already for this storage account with whatever kind of security tools available. We've tried to configure those security tools, data protection, and in advanced also, whatever we can configure, we have configured it and tried to discuss it as well. Some things need to be still tested that if with a application on the laptop, if you connect to the storage account, will it connect with HTTPS or not? Will it be encrypted or not? Right? And also double encryption that we have enabled here. Yeah, right now, obviously, if I just create that, then I have to just delete it as well. If I don't create it, then very less things will be created with it. So I'm just gonna cancel out from here. And so storage account was not created, but lots of security configurations were discussed. So we're gonna be testing those configurations, some of those configurations in the background or in the next class as well. I'm now going to start deleting what I've created because then obviously they're going to charge me if I don't delete that. So since I was attaching all this to the resource groups, so if I delete the resource group, click that resource group and go to resources. So key vault is created and managed identity was created. Oh, and I need to create that again next time. So I'll just take a screenshot of that. And I have to refer to this slide. And if I forget, please also remind me that I have to create it exactly like that because those key vault and managed identities need to be configured as well for the storage account to have proper security. Okay, so The resource group has only these two because I didn't create the storage account. If I had created a storage account, it would have shown here as well. Then when I delete the resource group, everything gets deleted inside as well, which is a good thing. I'm just gonna go for delete resource group and put the resource group name there again, and all right. So okay, it's deleting right now. So if there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, see you next week. And bye bye. Yeah, I'll stop the video here.